Hi, everyone. My name is Rui, and I'm the show host for Music Success Show. And I have another guest. He's from Bronx, New York. He's been playing drums since the age of 10 and picked up the guitar later in life. After spending many years in a corporate world, the new artist believes it's never too late to follow one's dreams, which also reflected in the artist's budding career. Like most musicians, he started playing in garage bands in high school and has over 2 decades of worth of experience singing and playing in a local church band. Steve Contino, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now, can you tell us a little about your background? How did you start it? Why did you decide to be in music?
Um, don't really know that. I just know that I love the drums, and like I said, like you said, I'm self-taught. I started playing drums around 10 years old. Um, kind of weird. I had a little toy drum set with the monkeys on it, and I was playing that little plastic set, and then just got into that, and then, like you said, kept with the drums. And got up with some guys in high school, and we started a band in high school. So that's kind of where it kind of started.
Okay, and you had any influences at that time when you that made you
Believe it or not, while I was still in the Bronx, because we left the Bronx when I was probably 10 or 11 years old. But my brother was in a band, and he was eighth or ninth grade at the time, and they had a really good band, and they were young guys. And my brother really went out, played guitar, he played lead guitar really well, and they would do battle of the bands in the Bronx, and they would win and stuff like that. So I guess seeing him kind of do that kind of stuff kind of got me into it.
great. Now, what's your musical background? I mean, how many instruments do you play?
Well, obviously the drums, and then I picked up the guitar about 5 years ago, and I was kind of talking about that. It was just a thing that I felt I should do because I was in the church band, and we lost a guitar player, and we actually had a drummer that I thought was better than me anyway. So we brought him in as the drummer, and then I picked up the guitar. But just for recording purposes, when I record my music, I play the drums on it, I play the guitar on it, I play the lead on it, I play the bass on it. So I don't play the bass well, but I know where, if I can practice and take time, I can get the bass out for the recording as well.
Right, and so you do that. You did that for the church. Did you manage to do it professionally, or you're? I mean, some guys have. So we can explain this to our audience. Some guys have this set up professionally, even if they play in a church environment. You know, they're getting paid for it, and they are
Right.
making a living out of it. How did you do your setup?
Yeah, no. So it's just, I went to the church. I started that church. I started the church. Wow, probably 20 years ago, and um, I just went to the church, and I knew that it was a very small church. They didn't have a lot of money for musicians and pay. And you're right, they do. They usually pay musicians to come in on Sundays and play. Um, they didn't have the money to do that. And I mentioned that I played the drums, so I got involved. And I didn't even sing at the time. I didn't even tell them I could sing. I was just playing the drums. And then as things progressed, I started singing, and then I started running the church band, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. So I would find musicians, bring them in, and I'd pick the music and do all that kind of stuff. And I didn't get paid for it. It was just part of me,
Yeah,
what I did at the church. Yeah.
awesome. Now, how did you start writing music? What led you to that? Did you have some kind of urge? Did you figure out, okay, I do have a knack for writing? What happened there?
No, this is really weird. In probably freshman year of high school or something, this girlfriend girlfriend dumped me, that I was going out with, and I wrote, which was kind of then it's like a poem,
Yeah.
right? And I wrote something else too, and I just kept it there for years. And then, when COVID hit, um, all working from home, and I'm hanging around, and you just got more time because you can't go anywhere. So I had found this old poems that I did, and that's one of the songs I I wrote and did was called Dreamer. That was actually from that stupid letter I wrote, and she ended up going back out with me like 2 weeks later. But when you're in high school, everything's like dramatic, right? So
The song worked.
yeah, yeah. So and then I wrote, I took that and then I kind of played around with it, put it some music to it, and I'm like, well, and then things just in life just started happening, like I wrote Slow Down because I was just starting thinking about, people were dying from COVID, and I'm like, we're not getting life. We're rushing around. We're trying to make money, and you can walk out the door and go in 2 seconds. So I started writing that, we should slow down. And I started working the words to that. And then, there was stuff going on with a lot of racial stuff was going on too at the time. And Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. And then I wrote Shades of Gray because I'm like, life is not black or white. It's just different shades of gray. We're all the same. So I just started writing all this kind of stuff just based on what was going on around me because I was stuck at home, basically.
And what kind of music do you write? In what genre do you prefer?
Well, I don't. So that's the point. I don't know what I love, like Foreigner and Journey and that kind of music. But I can't. If I try to write it, I can't. I can't write it. I'm stuck in this. I don't know. I'm not going to say Ed Sheeran, but I'm kind of stuck in this kind of singer-songwriter kind of mode where I can't I don't play power chords that well, and I don't do that kind of stuff. So I can't make these kind of rocky songs, even though I try to do it. So it's like, I guess, a soft rock kind of pop kind of thing,
And what is your writing process like? I mean, how do you create, like in hip hop world, they call it like the flow, right? They
right.
come up with a melody or a riff or whatever you want to call it. In the rock world, how do you go about what's your process there?
Yeah, I go no, I listen to a bunch of musicians. You're right, like Bon Jovi and all these guys, they get these riffs in their head, right? And they got the riffs, and then they write the words around the riffs. I do the opposite. Like I'm saying, I write like poems or things to myself, and then I'll kind of sit and I'll kind of tweak it to make it song worthy and not make it so wordy. But just somehow, as I'm saying the words, the notes or the chords come out to me. And then I kind of just wrap the music around the words rather than the other way around.
Okay, got it. Like, are there tools you love to use in order to do that process? Meaning, when you write the words and then you say, okay, now I'm going to put some music into that. What tools do you use?
So in that case, I'll just pick up a guitar, and I'll just start playing around, saying the words, playing different chords, and then kind of figure out what chords. It's almost the words tell me, what music to put with them as I'm kind of playing around and doing that. And then I'll get that down, and I'm like, okay, what can I from here? I definitely need a chorus. What jumps out to me that I can repeat and kind of be the chorus, and then I'll kind of do a different kind of notes or chords to the chorus, and then I kind of just do that. That's kind of the way I work it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What kind of DAW do you use, or software do you use to record?
It's so funny. I've got my my daughter, when she went to college, she needed a Mac for college, so she's working now. She doesn't use the Mac anymore, so I use her old Mac with all the stickers all over it.
Sure.
And I just use GarageBand. Yeah. And I just kind of record into that and do that.
It's an awesome software, by the way. A lot of people. Yeah. Okay, so when you're not working on music, what do you like to do?
Before COVID, I used to go to the movies a lot. That used to be my thing, at least 1 or 2 movies a week. But right before COVID hit, I actually bought a lake house. So my house is right on the water. So I'm trying to be on the water as much as I can. I got a boat, a pontoon boat, and kind of just hanging out on the water, being in the water, and being near the lake. That's kind of my happiness right there.
Sure. And like you told me that before the interview, you've been in a corporate world. How does that? What impact does that have? And I think you still are, correct? Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what impact does that have in terms of helping with your with your music? Because there's an aspect of being some people talk about left brain, right brain, whatever you want to call it. What impact does that have? You have a business aspect to it that you're trained and you do a living out of it, and then you have the artistic side of it. Does that help you in any way with your music?
I, I'm not sure. So I started out as an accountant. I was a CPA in New Jersey, and then moved to North Carolina, worked for a bank, and then started my own company. So I don't know if the math with the accounting kind of helps there, but music is more of my just escape. Just getting away and kind of just And I really think everybody should have something that's theirs. That they can just get away to. I don't care if it's golf. I don't care if it's music. I don't care if it's something, but have something that's yours that you enjoy. And again, because you can't put your life around work. It's got to be. It's got to be more. There's got to be more than that.
Sure. What's the best advice you ever received?
Best advice I received. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably just kind of comes around with and I know it's everybody can't do this, but is find something you love,
Hmm.
you know, and try to do that, and then try to figure out how you can make
Sure.
a living out of it. So I know a lot of times people pick things they love and they can't make a living out of it, but I think I think that's the way to do that. I mean, I've always wanted my own business even as a kid, so that's kind of was my business is my baby. So
Sure.
that's kind of what, yeah.
Okay. And what's the biggest challenge you have encountered, doing your music?
I think it's what everybody's doing. First of all, I'm old for getting into the music industry. I'm way past my prime for that, I think, anyway. But it's just getting heard, and just by me putting my music on Spotify and putting it on SoundCloud and all these other places, I'm listening and I'm hearing other musicians like me trying to get started. And in my mind, I'm going, there are so many great musicians out there, great songs, and they can't get heard, right? There's people there in the industry now that I'm not gonna say anybody, but I'm listening to the music and I'm like, that's not good. That's crap.
Yeah.
And there's guys out there that are great musicians and talented, and they're struggling. And I'm like, how does how do you get your stuff heard? That's kind of the biggest challenge.
Yeah, that's the question that a lot of people raise, and some people do have the answer, but they don't know how to do it because
Right.
it's with promotion and marketing. And like being from the business world, you can have a great business, but if you don't promote it and market it correctly,
Right.
nobody's going to buy your product, right?
Exactly.
So in the music side of things, it's been my experience, from personal experience and from the people I talk and interview here on the platform. Um, they just don't know how to do it, and some people don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
More people today want to deal with it, like the youngsters, the young generation, if you want to call that. But they just don't know how to do it, and they know they have to pay to be on a playlist, and that's not a guarantee either. So on Spotify,
Yeah.
etc. But that's the biggest challenge, right? To get yourself heard, right?
Yeah, and especially like, I'm working full time, I'm running a company, and it's like I don't have time to be on social media constantly posting and making music videos, and it's just hard.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, do you? So you are on different platforms. Can you explain a little bit about your strategy in terms of, because from my understanding, you want to do music. Do I get it right or not? And you want to put music out, and you want to be heard independently. If you want to become, I don't know what your goals are, but we can come. I can ask you that a little bit later. But like, what platforms do you have your music on right now?
Well, I've been using CD Baby,
Okay.
so which puts it out
Yeah, as a
everywhere, Apple Music, everywhere. So
distributor, right?
yeah.
In terms of publishing, are you using anybody? Do you use CD Baby? CD, I don't know if CD Baby does publishing. Do they do publishing? I believe they do publishing.
Yeah, so I think I have.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think I have ASCAP.
Okay.
I don't know why it's ASCAP and CD Baby, and then I did. I don't know. I went and did copyrights, and all that kind of stuff. So.
Okay, good. And what is music success for you? I mean, what do you want to accomplish with your music? What's your goal here?
I wish I kind of knew, because I go in different directions all the time. Like I said, if I'm writing stuff about that has messages, I would like the message to be heard. Part of me saying, forget about all the social media and all that stuff. Just go out there and start playing live. Get in front of people. Try to get in front of bigger and bigger audiences. Kind of like they did in the old days before social media was out there. But
playing live.
Yeah, playing live and stuff like that. I have not except in church. I've only played at a couple of open mics. I don't have a lot of that experience, especially with COVID too, since I started writing. So my thought now is trying to get out there, open mics, or try to, not even for the money, just go out there and get some experience and just in front of people and kind of playing.
Yeah, and that's
kind of what I want to do.
Yeah, very important. I think you're a good example. I mean, people, ask you, why do you bring all these different type of ages and people to the platform? I mean, the reason why I do it is so people understand there's different ways to go about music. There's not one sorted way. What we get bombarded every day is the people who are on the tops, right, on Billboard, etc., etc. But that doesn't mean that's the reality. These people are paying the major record companies are paying major money to have these people. Some of them are not good, as we know, to be there in front of your face. That doesn't mean, which creates an aspect in the industry where why should I bother, right? There's professional people. There's people who are not doing semi-professional. There's people like yourself. Like, why would I bother? Because I know such and such, and he's got great music and he's not making it. And then you have all this crap on the tops. So, and that's why I bring people like you and different people, so people understand. Look, there's different ways to monetize in the music industry. Whatever they put out there doesn't mean is legit. Right? It means that there's a lot of money behind it. Some of it is really good. Some of that is terrible. And it's important to understand that what you got to do, at least in my viewpoint, is you got to do your own thing. Don't pay attention to the whole noise and figure out how to monetize. Because if you love music, that's what you should be doing, correct?
Right.
So my question to you now would be like, what's your favorite album of all times?
Wow. It's probably, and I don't know which album it is. I know the picture of it. It's a Foreigner album. I think I don't know which one it was, but it's it's by Foreigner. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the name of the album was, but yeah, that would probably be it.
Foreigner album, greatest hits.
Yeah, probably the greatest hits one. Yeah,
it's greatest hits. I mean, it's got the The major song right there.
Yeah.
Are you an avid reader? Do you like to read books? You don't like to read books?
I do. I read books, but I'm kind of ashamed of what I read. I read kind of those stupid,
Like fictional?
yeah, like sword and sorcery, stuff with
Uh, were, you,
wizards and
were you a big fan of what was the name of that game? Dragons and
world. No, no, I
you were
never
not.
played any of those games.
You never
No,
played, but you like the books.
I think I just like to escape. It's
Yeah.
like I'm going 24/7 with business, and I just want to escape, whether it's music or something else. Just escape.
Okay, cool. Now, in terms of if you're like, how do you see the music industry today? So you started pretty young, right? At 10 years old, playing drums. How do you see the music industry today compared to when you started?
I don't want to be too critical, but again, it's just I don't think there's not that substance to it, like the bands, anybody, Bon Jovi, Foreigner, the Stones, all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of stuff is electronic. I'm not knocking it. I'm not. But I just think, I don't know. I just don't think like it's the same anymore. It's just, I would love to see some really good bands come out again. Not that the guys that are just singers and they're just they're not musicians and they have everything behind them and stuff like that. And again, I'm not knocking it. It's just a lot of people like it. Obviously, it's there and people are listening to it. But I don't know. It's just the music of the '80s and the '90s and even the '70s. It was just so different than now.
Yeah, definitely not the same thing. I mean, first of all the music was actually pre-internet, and since the internet happened, a lot of things changed as well, right? Now, if you're being taken to a new planet, let's say you're being taken to a new planet,
Yeah.
and you can only take three things with you, what would that be?
Oh wow. Wow. Does my family count as one, or is it like do I have to count the people? Yes, I'd probably take my family. I'd probably take a guitar, and it's probably really all I need. Maybe my dogs. That's probably all I need.
Okay, awesome.
As long as there's food on the planet, I'm good.
Yeah, there's food and water, so there's the basic things. And great, that's a great answer. Yeah. Do you like if you were starting in the music industry today, like knowing what you know, what would you do differently?
That's a good question. I don't know. I really don't, to be honest with you. And I wouldn't know how to fix it because, like you said, you've got these companies out there that are finding people that are pretty, that look good, and they're spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on them. And some are talented, like we said, they're talented, and some are not. But we hear stories, or I hear stories that they're spending all this money, but you got to pay them back. Nobody hears that you got to pay them back, right? So they're taking all that money back from you as you're making it. So, and I don't know because I don't know how, like in the '70s and '80s when bands like Aerosmith and them did it. I don't know what the structure was. I don't know if music companies took most of their money back then either. I heard that like most of the money they made was touring, right? And they made nothing really on the albums or the radio stuff. So I don't know. I don't know how to fix it. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Which is a problem for everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
Answer is basically what most people are running into. And if anybody listen to this knows better, please just comment below because I would love to know your answer. A lot of us are trying to figure this out. One of the other things that I'd like to ask you is, where do you see yourself, let's say 5 years from now, in terms of music? Where do you want to be?
Um, Again, I ask that question, and I go back and forth. It may be that I just, hopefully keep writing and putting some music out there, and it gets heard, and I get some kind of, because one of the things, I kind of keep telling myself, or my wife keeps telling me this. She was an art major, and she was in art, and she kept saying art is subjective, right? So I look at a painting and might love it. You look at a painting, you might hate it. So in my mind, again, I'm hearing all these other musicians out there that are not making it, that are talented, that are great, and I'm going, why am I doing this? But again, there might be some. If 200,000 people love my music, that's enough. There's millions and millions of people in the world, right? So, people like I don't think Tom Petty was a great singer. I don't think people love Tom Petty.
Yeah.
But he was smart. He was a talented songwriter, but I don't think he was a great singer. But people loved him.
Yeah.
People loved Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan wasn't a good singer, So it's everybody's got their subjective taste. So I think what I'll do is just go along, trying to figure out, stay in my niche with music, and don't try to be a foreigner in journey. Write my stuff, and even if I became kind of big or kind of popular in the Southeast or locally, and just was able to play a couple of times a month and go out, and not in front of stadiums, but in front of a couple hundred people, a couple of thousand people, I think I'd be happy.
Awesome. That's a great answer. Steve Contino, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your time. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
And I wish you the best, and I wish you a lot of success. To the listeners, before I go, what's the best way to connect with you? How can people follow you up?
Just Google me. I mean, if you go to my Facebook, you can get me through there. Facebook, like I said, if you want to listen to stuff on Spotify, Apple Music, and all that stuff. But Facebook probably is the best way. You can just direct message me, or Instagram. I answer everybody.
What's the handle? Steve Contino, at Steve Contino?
I think it's at Steve Contino Music.
Okay, awesome. So to our listeners, thank you so much for connecting and for listening and for viewing the show. I really appreciate your support. If you want to have all the links, you can just, type on the search bar, Steve Contino, and everything will pop right up. Steve Contino, thank you for being so generous with your time. And I hope everything works out for you. To our listeners, remember, we want you to be successful because your success is my success. And don't forget to live your dreams. Until I see you in the next episode, be safe. See you soon.
Thanks.
Welcome.